Have you ever wondered how a single day changed the course of World War II? Before dawn on June 6, 1944, thousands of young soldiers crossed the cold waters of the English Channel, knowing many would never return. Ahead of them stood the heavily fortified beaches of Normandy, defended by bunkers, artillery, and machine guns. What happened over the next few hours became the largest seaborne invasion in history and marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. This is the remarkable true story of D-Day, the day that changed the world forever. By 1944, Europe had been at war for nearly 5 years. Nazi Germany had conquered much of the continent, including Poland, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Norway, and several other nations. Millions of people lived under German occupation, while Allied forces searched for a way to strike back. Although Britain had resisted invasion and the Soviet Union was fighting Germany on the Eastern Front, the war showed no sign of ending. Every day, more lives were lost, and Europe remained trapped under Nazi control. The Allied leaders understood that defeating Germany would require more than bombing campaigns and naval blockades. They needed to return to mainland Europe with a massive army, liberate occupied France, and open a new front against Hitler's forces. It would be one of the most ambitious military operations ever attempted. The invasion was given the code name Operation Overlord. It was a mission unlike anything the world had ever seen. More than 156,000 soldiers, supported by over 5,000 ships and 11,000 aircraft, would cross the English Channel and storm the beaches of Normandy. Planning such an enormous operation took months. Military planners studied maps, tides, weather conditions, and German defenses in incredible detail. Engineers designed special landing craft capable of carrying tanks and troops directly onto the beaches. Artificial harbors, known as mulberries, were built to supply the invading army once it reached France. Every soldier, ship, and aircraft had a carefully assigned role. Success depended on perfect coordination because even a small mistake could jeopardize the entire invasion. Military strength alone would not be enough. The Allies also needed to convince Germany that the invasion would happen somewhere else. To achieve this, they launched Operation Fortitude, one of history's greatest deception campaigns. Across southeastern England, fake military camps appeared almost overnight. Inflatable tanks, wooden aircraft, dummy vehicles, and empty barracks created the illusion of a huge army preparing to invade the Pas-de-Calais region, the closest point between Britain and France. False radio messages filled the airwaves, while double agents secretly fed misleading information to German intelligence. The deception worked remarkably well. Even as the real invasion approached, many German commanders remained convinced that Normandy was only a diversion. They believed the main attack would come later, causing them to delay sending vital reinforcements when they were needed most. As the invasion date approached, one obstacle threatened to destroy months of preparation. The weather. Strong winds and rough seas swept across the English Channel, making an amphibious assault extremely dangerous. Landing craft could capsize, aircraft might miss their targets, and soldiers would struggle to reach the beaches. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, the supreme Allied commander, faced one of the most difficult decisions of the war. If he delayed the invasion too long, Germany would have more time to strengthen its defenses. But launching the attack in poor weather could end in disaster. Meteorologists predicted a brief improvement in conditions on June 6. After careful consideration, Eisenhower made his historic decision. The invasion would proceed. Late on the evening of June 5, 1944, thousands of transport aircraft lifted off from airfields across southern England. Inside were American and British paratroopers assigned to land behind enemy lines before the main invasion began. Their mission was to capture bridges, block important roads, destroy communication lines, and prevent German reinforcements from reaching the beaches. It was one of the most dangerous assignments of the entire operation. As the aircraft crossed the English Channel, anti-aircraft guns opened fire. Thick clouds and darkness scattered many paratroopers far from their planned landing zones. Some landed in flooded fields, while others became separated from their units. Despite the confusion, small groups of soldiers quickly adapted. They regrouped wherever they landed, attacked German positions, captured key bridges, and disrupted enemy communications. Their actions created confusion among German commanders, making it difficult to understand where the main invasion would take place. Meanwhile, a vast fleet silently crossed the English Channel. More than 5,000 ships stretched across the horizon, carrying over 156,000 Allied soldiers toward the coast of Normandy. For many of them, there would be no turning back. As the first light of June 6 appeared over the sea, the coastline of France slowly emerged through the morning mist. Ahead lay 5 beaches that would become forever etched into history: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. Within moments, the largest amphibious invasion the world had ever witnessed was about to begin. As dawn broke on June 6, 1944, the calm of the English Channel vanished. Allied battleships opened fire on German coastal defenses, while hundreds of aircraft bombed bunkers, artillery positions, and communication lines. The bombardment was designed to weaken the enemy before the first wave of soldiers reached the shore. Although some German defenses were damaged, many fortifications remained intact, waiting for the approaching invasion force. Soon, thousands of landing craft separated from the larger ships and headed toward the beaches. Inside each craft, soldiers sat in silence, gripping their rifles as the sound of explosions grew louder. Many knew they were about to face one of the most dangerous moments of their lives. As the ramps lowered, they charged into cold water under a hail of bullets, beginning one of history's most famous battles. The invasion was spread across 5 beaches, each assigned to different Allied forces. American troops landed at Utah and Omaha beaches, British forces attacked Gold and Sword beaches, and Canadian troops stormed Juno Beach. At Utah Beach, strong currents pushed many landing craft away from their planned landing zone. Surprisingly, this mistake worked to the Allies' advantage because they landed where German resistance was lighter than expected. American troops quickly secured the beach and pushed inland to link up with airborne forces. Gold Beach was defended by strong German positions, but British soldiers fought steadily forward, capturing villages and opening routes for reinforcements. Canadian forces landing at Juno Beach encountered fierce resistance and rough sea conditions. Despite heavy casualties during the first assault, they broke through the German defenses and advanced farther inland than many commanders had expected. At Sword Beach, British troops secured the shoreline despite determined German counterattacks and continued advancing toward the strategic city of Cannes. Each landing was difficult, but one beach became the symbol of D-Day's greatest sacrifice. Omaha Beach was protected by steep cliffs, concrete bunkers, hidden machine gun nests, and well-positioned artillery. German defenders had a clear view of every approaching landing craft. As American soldiers reached the shore, many were struck by intense machine gun fire before they could even leave their boats. Others drowned after jumping into water that was deeper than expected while carrying heavy equipment. Tanks meant to support the assault were lost in rough seas, leaving the infantry exposed. For hours, confusion and chaos dominated the beach. Soldiers searched desperately for cover behind steel obstacles, craters, and seawalls while medics risked their lives to rescue the wounded. Communication was limited, and many units became separated. Despite the overwhelming resistance, small groups of determined soldiers refused to retreat. Using initiative and courage, they climbed the cliffs, attacked German bunkers from behind, and gradually silenced one defensive position after another. By late afternoon, the beachhead had finally been secured. The price had been devastating, but the invasion had survived its greatest test. By the end of June 6, all 5 landing beaches remained in Allied hands. More than 156,000 troops had successfully crossed the English Channel and established a foothold in Nazi-occupied France. Engineers cleared mines and obstacles, while thousands of additional soldiers, tanks, vehicles, ammunition, and supplies continued arriving throughout the day. Although fierce fighting would continue across Normandy for several weeks, the most dangerous stage of Operation Overlord had succeeded. The liberation of Western Europe had finally begun. The victory came at a tremendous cost. Thousands of Allied soldiers were killed, wounded, or missing on D-Day, while German forces also suffered heavy losses defending the coastline. French civilians were caught in the middle of the fighting as towns and villages became battlefields. Behind every number was a human story. Young men from different countries had crossed an ocean to fight for freedom, knowing they might never return home. Many made the ultimate sacrifice, and their courage is still remembered today. The cemeteries overlooking the beaches of Normandy stand as lasting reminders of the enormous price paid for liberty. Each white cross and every engraved name tells the story of someone who helped change history. The Normandy landings marked the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. With Allied armies advancing from the west and Soviet forces pressing from the east, Germany was forced to fight a war on two major fronts. Its resources, manpower, and defenses were stretched to the breaking point. Within weeks, Allied forces pushed farther into France, and in August 1944, Paris was liberated. Less than a year after D-Day, Nazi Germany surrendered, bringing the war in Europe to an end. D-Day was not just a military operation. It was a moment when courage, planning, and international cooperation overcame one of the most powerful military forces in history. It proved that even the strongest defenses could be broken when nations stood together in pursuit of freedom. Today, the beaches of Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword are peaceful places visited by millions each year. Yet beneath the sound of the waves lies the memory of those who fought there. Their bravery changed the course of World War II and shaped the world we live in today.